everybody starts waking up, which we're feeling the stirrings of that right now, you have to be able to appeal to all consciousnesses, right? And you have to understand what certain collectives value, what is important to them. And we're not going to try to seek to change people to the extent that we don't want them to give up what their values are, what their dreams are, what their goals are, what brings them fulfillment. We want to find a way for everybody to coexist and be able to create their new earth and be able to enjoy that, because we're not all going to be the same. So I was thinking the most about the wide gap between the baby boomers and the other generations, and I'll tell you why. So a lot of the generations, they don't classify them based on astrology, but I think that is the highest way to do so, by looking at the generational planets. So for instance, if we look at baby boomers, for the most part, they are going to have Pluto in Leo. Now, there may be some Pluto in Virgos who are all on the tail end of that baby boomer generation, but they are going to differ from the baby boomers who have Pluto in Leo. So they kind of make up this large group. Now, the Pluto in Leo generation, they grew up, if you take Pluto as our contract of our generation and what we are here to collapse and rebirth and transform. The Leo energy in the lower it's very self-obsessed. It wants to be successful. It wants to be validated. It wants attention. It wants to be seen as this this leader, they basically want to be worshipped in some kind of way. And that's the lower energy of that Leo. So a lot of the baby boomers grew up in a way where they literally think that it's all about them and that they deserve to be validated and to be kind of worshipped and put on this pedestal. And what we're seeing now is that the millennials and the Gen Xers are making up the majority of the workforce, and a lot of the baby boomers are now phasing out, except for some of the, maybe higher level people who, are still running companies and things like that. There's this huge clash between them. And that is part of how the economy is imploding on itself, is because the economy that we're currently living in, it's been going on for quite a while, but it was built by the baby boomers. This current financial system has been a long time kind of in the making, but if we really look at the last 100 years or so, or 80, 75 years, that was created by the baby boomers. And so they built this whole system on them thinking that this was going to benefit them and that this was the best way to gain that kind of abundance and, extravagant life and, the American dream. That's where the American dream really came from. It was all about, you're going to get benefits for your hard work and you're going to be able to have a big house and, 2 cars and a white picket fence, and you were going to be able to do all these things. And now what we're seeing is that there was so much blinded by that generation that now the economy that they've built is going to collapse, because the Gen X and the Pluto and Scorpio millennial generation have completely different values. We don't value the same things that the older generation does. They value security. They value money. They value positions of authority or positions of leadership. The other generations don't value those same things. So I think the beauty, though, of the baby boomer generation, again, is going to be Pluto in Leo and Pluto in Virgo. They value different things. So the Pluto in Leo generation, I think, is when they can flip this, what they can really do is they can inspire everybody to be worthy, to know that they're worthy of grand things, to know how to have a good time. You know, Leo loves to party, it loves to bring joy, it loves to have a good time. It's not worried about, you know, necessarily money with Leo. It wants, though, to be able to have nice things and experience a nice life and be able to have all the joys that they want to have, right? So I think that that is the beauty that they are going to be bringing once it can be flipped, because also that generation is the least charitable generation. And again, this is no negative. It's just this was the programming that was instilled. It was all about them getting ahead in life, them making money and setting themselves up for their long life and for their retirement and for their vacations and for their family. It didn't come until the Pluto and Virgo generation, which is partly baby boomer and then is partly Gen X. They carry a lot more of like where they are really into service. They want to be in service to others. They are a bit more charitable, but they're also extreme worriers, very anxious people. They're always worried about something. They're always thinking that something needs to be fixed, something needs to be changed, which is great because they show us how we can keep improving, how we continue to be in service, and how we can keep improving. But they're very linear and they're very logical, and they do differ from that kind of Pluto and Leo generation. So we have this interesting mix of baby boomers and that Pluto and Virgo beings who are in that category. They're very much about that you need to always be working harder. You know, you just take care of things. You do what you have to do. That's their motto. You do what you have to do and you don't complain about it. And then we can see how this rolls into Gen X, which is going to have a bit of that Pluto in Virgo. So you guys can look up your Pluto and see which category you fall into. But it's also going to include a lot of Pluto in Libras. That's going to be the majority of Gen Xers. And the Pluto in Libra generation, which was mom's generation, a lot of the indigos, they value relationships and they value cooperation with others. They value fairness and justice. So they're very geared towards what is fair, what is just. They are really good at relationships and partnerships and working with others, whereas the older generations, not so much. But they also have had a really tough go.